Dhananjaya is one of the air element. So among pranayama we are practicing. So Devadatta, Dhananjaya means Arjuna, the warrior. Dhananjaya, why Dhananjaya? It is not because of warrior. Dhananjaya is not original name of the Arjuna. He is called Dhananjaya because he attained a samadhi. And the samadhi, once you attain a level of perfection in the meditation, say fourth samadhi, third samadhi, fifth samadhi, and your every relic after your death and your every portion of every atom in you, even ash of you or a nail, even one atom of you, one DNA of you carries and your entire quality in that. Today you can see, in Himalayas and in the Arctic region, when they go for exploration and archaeologists, etc., in deep Russia and remote Russian areas, and when they dig, they find some DNA because in that coldest temperatures, and some DNA, just one DNA they find and they can isolate. Means what? They can create the same species. The same species. And that belongs to maybe which Jurassic period. But once you get a DNA means you can create another dinosaur. Understand? You can create it today using the technology. You can create the same species called mammoths. They are called yatis in Himalayas. Yatis means very big beings. Yesterday I was telling about Himayati. Yati means very big beings. And these beings, from Himalayas, the same, north to the Himalayas, in Russia, remote, yak, mammoths means yak. The yak represents, and the most oldest animal in Himalayas that survived is called yak. And the size of the yak, like I was telling you, like a bull, very huge. As you go into the yaks of in Himalayas, and the yak is called yatis, you use yaks. And they know how to grow them. That's why it's called yak. If yak is there, means yati is there. So this yak culture, the yak is called mammoths. And now, so in deep Russia, and people could find big, huge yaks, and their DNA they could find. Means you can create that kind of gigantic mammoths of the yak. Yesterday I was telling you, what we know, and as of now, about our own history, about our own planet, about the size of big humans, it is still we just have not discovered. It doesn't mean it's not there. We just have to discover it. So this, why am I telling you Dhananjaya, the air element? Why any monk when he dies, or when your parents die, and he is buried, some memory is collected. Every temple, say Sai Baba temple or Buddha, all that Buddha when he passed away, Buddha knew there will be a wars for his relics. Relics means for his remaining. Once he leaves the body, and so the fighting for the body begins. The dead body, and once it is burnt, and whatever the bones they get, whatever the ashes you get, there will be very big fight. He could foresee, that's why. Why? Because in India, even today, when parents die, or when your grandparents die, any saint die, even today in Buddhist countries, so what they preserve is, and after you burn your pipe, they collect your bones and they collect your ashes, and those ashes, and they merge it in the Himalayas or somewhere. But actually, even in pyramid is nothing but, you see, the kings and the queens' dead bodies. Why they want to preserve? Because someday technology comes, and so you can again reproduce them. The same figure, the same thing. It's not the same technology exists in India for a long time. And you don't need even DNA. It means as per the Indian technology, you just need that value to reproduce your character is called Dhananjaya, what it carries. means your RFID, so you are called your radio frequency and identity, so RFID, and whatever we are born, when the soul is born, you have an identity. And that identity of consciousness is called Dhananjaya. So Dhananjaya means, so in all forms of your lifetimes and your mass, it represents a respective birth, in which form the mass is there, in which form it left, the consciousness left. That is the last air element. And that air element is all the time. Even Kumar goes, but Kumar body or Kumar hair, even after Kumar's soul goes into the Supreme Soul, and say Buddha's and a hair follicle or a nail will carry another Kumar, living Kumar. It is like a living Buddha. Like living, any belonging to the Jesus, say, is as good as the Jesus living. Because only technology right now is not matured enough. If the technology is there, you can recreate the same person. And means the technology of the saints is far superior to the DNA. DNA is still you are looking for some transcription file, to translate it. So transcription means, so Dhananjaya is like a dark energy, identification of dark energy. Each one of us, we have a different level of dark energy, dark matter, gravity, and DNA is a gross reality compared to any of those things. So saints found, they named it as in a Dhananjaya. Simply Dhananjaya means, why Arjuna got Dhananjaya? Because he got, and he meditated on the Shiva, and he got the blessing of the Shiva. Shiva gave him a powerful weapon. So he conquered a technique, a technology. That's how he has become a famous, the archer, and in the archer, what is the highest level of one can achieve in the archery, and Arjuna, the great warrior, got it. That's why he is a great archer. That is his legacy, means his focus, his concentration, his samadhi is very high. He is a tantric. Before, had his brother-in-law did not help him, and simply he is an egoistic fellow. Because he is a tantric, he attained, and the Dhananjaya. That's why, and Buddha used it, Krishna uses in Bhagavad Gita all the names meant for Arjuna. And he reminds him about the character of Dhananjaya. Hey, you have this samadhi. When Dhananjaya, Arjuna, Bharata, Kaunteya, like this, so what not. So appropriately, whichever the word required, Krishna and uses that word for Arjuna. That shows his competency, his skill, his weakness, everything it indicates. So when he referred to Dhananjaya means wherever the shloka, he refers to Dhananjaya, you should understand. He is making mockery of him. Hey, you are only at that samadhi level, you are far away. So in Buddhist traditions, in India tradition, the culture, it has become a culture. Even in the West, it is a culture. A dead body, you want to bury it. And in India, we burn it. Where you burn it, bury it is the same, isn't it? Everything has to be degraded. It is a slow degradation, it is a fast degradation. And in Indian tradition is, so because once you bury, any virus is there, it will continue. That's why what in India they do is incineration, the most modern, the best way to actually any person suffering from a virus, if he is dead, what is the best way? Is to burn. That is only the best way. And frankly speaking, and anyone like one affected with Ebola virus and one affected with a COVID virus, without even a blink of the eye, you just have to burn. Because you are thinking, and he is, so his body doesn't carry his memory. No. Whether you burn his ashes, his bone, everything and carries. And Buddha and told 3 months before he left his body, he told, hey, I am going to leave this body and there will be a fight. Hey Ananda, there will be a fight. And in order to avoid the fight, so I am only telling you first, so call that Brahmin Drona the king, who is a Brahmin. So my friend, who belongs to my grandmother's place, because he is liked by everyone. Every king knows about him. He told, hey, call Drona, the king, and from Koliya. So because Buddha belongs to a kingdom called Koliya. And that place is, did you know Koliya? What is a Koliya? Koliya is a tree name. It's called Ashwatthama tree. It's also called Ashwatthama, tree of Ashwatthama. Underneath, it is a typical Himalayan forest tree. Often it's called Sanjeevani. And Buddha is born there. That's why he had all those qualities. So his DNA, his RNA, his lineage itself represents, and from where they come from. And not many people know about it. And the Koliya, and when Buddha was about to leave his body, he wanted, and so all his body relics have to be distributed to all the 7 kingdoms. The major kingdoms are the 7. And he wanted to distribute to all those 7 kingdoms. And he told his cousin Ananda, and he told, the one who is acceptable, the one who is a Brahmin, only should carry that. Because all other people will obey. So the distribution of, so kings won't fight. So wars won't happen between the kingdoms. That's a Buddha's intention. So then he told, call Drona is the king, is a Brahmin of the Koliya. He told, call Drona. And Drona came. And when Buddha, after his, so his body is incinerated, and then so all his bones and everything is collected very well, and they are made into 7 parts. And Buddha also told him, and he told him not to tell anyone, Drona, and Buddha's head, and it is ordinary, so gods wanted, Brahmins or angels wanted, and that's why, and angels wanted his head and remaining body, and he wanted. So Buddha has to, because Buddha taught Abhidhamma to the angels. Angels also wants to meditate, wants to carry the legacy. Then his skull is given for all the higher realms, all this. And he told Drona, so you carry my skull. And you carry my skull, it will be protected by the gods. Because it is a property of them. It is not a property of the humans. It is not a property of any kingdom. And you own it, and you take it. And in my kingdom, where my grandmother is born, and there you go, and there you bury. Is what he told. And Drona took his skull, and all other are distributed. So why? And even today Shwedagon Pagoda in Myanmar, what for it is famous? Because it is believed the king Buddha's hair follicle is there. You think, hey, ordinary person thinks, hey, world has gone mad. So if you believe in the DNA, this is much more powerful concept than DNA. Understand? So Dhananjaya, it is as good as Buddha is living there in the Shwedagon Pagoda, you should know. It is is a nail, tip of a nail, even, so. Is it true, Kumar? Now, the modern, because we are talking about prana, so Dhananjaya is a prana, I am just giving it. So now you will be sent to moon. We are sending the people to Mars before sending. And what people do, so whether you can cope with that kind of the stress, anti-gravity environment, you will be kept in a simulator. for a period of 6 months to the duration equivalent to in the space what you are planning, the similar environment is created. So in America, there is called Hawaii. This Hawaii is a very famous place for experimentation. NASA has an experimental station in Hawaii, and every astronaut before he is going to spend, suppose now Mars mission, and the people will be trained creating a simulator, a Mars kind of the environment around you completely, the anti-gravity and the similar atmosphere they create, and they have to live in their suits exactly like in the space station. They have to live there for about a period of 6 months. In Mars simulator, they have to live in 6 months. So then what they study? So all these astronauts, they have to cut their hair, they have to shave their hair once in a week, and so their blood once in a week, and their especially hair is given. So they have to cut their hair, and so sample will come out, and every week the hair is monitored. Why only hair? Why only hair? Because hair remembers your emotional, your physical, physiological, psychological, mental, all memories and can be diagnosed from the hair. That's why, and the one who has erased all the memories is called a shaven head. A Shankaracharya doesn't carry any hair on that. A Buddha doesn't carry any hair on his head. Shaven heads. And the Vedic culture talks about only, and whether you are a Vedic culture or a Tantric culture is only known by your hair. In the Vedic culture, there is no growing of the hair because practice of detachment, if you want to practice, are you in the practice of detachment? Attachment is known. So Buddha told Drona and kept his carried. Even today, and when King Ashoka, just 200 years after Buddha passed away, and King Ashoka came. King Ashoka means 3rd century BC. So just 200 years means not much, because being a Buddha prince, still the legacy is continuing. King Ashoka, and what King Ashoka did, 3rd BC, and King Ashoka, so he is a cruel king and became, because Buddhism, all the monks, enlightened monks were still there. It is just 200 years that Buddha passed away, and he got a great guru. So Ashoka, and then he got enlightened. When he got enlightened, first thing, and when he got enlightened, the King Ashoka, he realized is, oh my God, what a legacy of the Buddhas I need to preserve. And all his relics, wherever, in whichever the kingdom buried, it is the one who has restored and who constructed properly a monument over its stupa, constructed a memory, and so that even today those memories are surviving. That credit goes to the one who recognized the importance of the relic, and the King Ashoka, but in one place he could not do, because he wanted to go to Kolia. It's called Ramagrama. Grama means village, where Buddha's grandmother and grandfather met, and where they got married, and his great-great-grandmother. So that place today is called in Nepal Ramagrama. And Ramagrama, and so Ramagrama, why it's famous? Not many Buddhist circuits know. Ramagrama is famous because where Buddha's skull is buried. And King Ashoka was trying, he was successful in edicting all Buddha's stupas. Even he could see previous Buddha's stupas also erected. That is his devotion. And including where Buddha is born. But when he went to this place called Ramagrama, when he is trying to actually construct, and there is, because it is owned by the gods, and gods never allowed him. So they are called dragons or yakshas, and protected by the Vishnu, protected by the Kubera, and it is protected by the Kubera, the king of the gods, of the sixth plane of consciousness, and no one, and even Nepalese government, whenever they tried, and something or all other great calamities happened, That's why the only unaddicted means untouched, and relic stupa, natural stupa that has been surviving since the Buddha's death. Since the Buddha left his body, is only called Ramadhrama, even today. Is untouched. That's why if one goes to touch, they will die. So if a bad intention of taking anything over there, if you are going there to pay gratitude, no problem at all. But if you are trying to go there, dig out something and to construct something, and even Nepal government so far has not constructed anything because, and they essentially, whenever they tried, so many people died. And it is recorded since the time of the Ashoka. That's why even British tried, and it so happened they died. So that's why. So this is only the Buddha's skull, the most powerful place. If you are enlightened, so then you will know what is the power of that place. So every relic, even in my state, there are some relics of the Buddha which are very powerful. When you say Nagarjuna, so Acharya Nagarjuna, the Vice Chancellor of the Nalanda University, he comes from my state. And he carried forward his legacy, monastery, another university here in my state. And now there is a dam, and all are preserved, including Buddha's nail. It is preserved in my state. That's why, so for me to be born in this land, I am born where I am delivered is a Buddhist site. It's called Phanagiri, where I am delivered. So if I have to tell you, it all is not our choice. So nature will take care. So that's all. What nature takes care, your Dhananjaya, where your matter carries. How do you know where a person is enlightened? So in Buddhist countries, even today they carry forward the legacy. Do you know how they identify a person is enlightened or not? Any person dies in their village, in Myanmar, in Thailand, in Sri Lanka, or anywhere, especially in Myanmar. In Thailand, still this tradition goes. And what they do, any person, any monk, and villagers collect these relics, or monks collect. If he is a monk dead, and monk relics are collected. A villager passed away, and so they collect the relics. And they store in a glass jar, they store. And you will see after 1 year, 2 years, and they become translucent. It will become. The translucent, they change the structure, they become like a pearls, they become like a diamonds, they become like a value-added stones. They undergo transformation, and that is how they recognize whether that person, Dhananjaya Vayu, is immortal or not. Whose Dhananjaya Vayu is immortal means there is no more birth, and they will identify by entropyless. So when this relic, and simply it has become churna, it has become powder, means he is not fully enlightened. Understand? But if that has remained its integrity, still it is surviving, and it has become smooth and polished and like a crystal, means that person is enlightened. And like this, you will find Ajahn Mun's relics collected in the Thai traditions. So that is the authenticity of the traditions. When you go to learn, you should see so many parameters are there to know, and whether those people are enlightened. That's why even today you go to Sringeri, you will find some memory of the Shankaracharyas, very kept auspiciously. When you go to Shirdi Sai Baba, and you find, so these fakirs, sandals and everything, they are the most cherished valuables because they indicate their presence, their energy. Even one atom is there enough. One atom is there enough for you to synchronize, for you to get affected. Good is good. One radioisotope, highly active, can influence entire environment around you, can cure all the diseases. So you should know. So similarly, a bad radioisotope, and when nuclear explosion is there, released, polonium is released, and it will affect everyone with the thyroid. It will kill everyone with the cancer. I'm just trying to tell you the power of atom, power of isotope, which you won't even see. So when you see, oh correct Kumar, so this is also correct. So radioisotope of a enlightened person and what energy it carries forever the legacy. So that's why when you go to Pondicherry, so the mother Aravindo and the mother like this everywhere. When you go to Dakshinapat and Vivekananda Samadhi and Mahatma Gandhi Samadhi and the dome, the culture is very well. But which you have to visit, you must visit. And if any enlightened persons relics are, if you are sure, you should never miss that opportunity, because for sure you will get enlightened one day. So that's how the legacy of the Dhananjaya. It's not that I am explaining about Buddha or anything, because in relevance to some topic when it comes to what is the Himalayan tradition and what is DNA memory, what is the Yak memory, what is the DNA memory, how this DNA memory, now again how it can be created and what were the technologies, why the relics are preserved in India, and a person is an enlightened, and so that relic, it is not that you should take the relic and merge in the Ganges, you should keep it. If that person is not enlightened, if that person is bad, it's bad keeping that relic in your house. That's why you have to go and take it and merge in the Ganges. But for sure and he is the greatest person, he doesn't have any negative quality, means he must be a yogi. To keep that relic in your house forever, he has to be a yogi. That's why if you get a yogi relic, you should never leave it, you should eternally preserve it at home. That's how every yogi, like Buddha's relic, or every arahant, every enlightened person, relics are preserved. So that because they are the power and they protect the environment around you, and they are the carries legacy. That is the yoga tradition.